In the early 7th century, two giants ruled the world. To the west stood Rome, old, wounded, but still proud. To the east rose Persia, rich, powerful, and hungry for victory. For centuries, these empires fought each other again and again. But no one knew that one final war was coming. A war filled with betrayal, secret missions, and a comeback almost impossible to believe. Today, we uncover the forgotten conflict that nearly erased an empire. This is the story of Rome versus Persia. The year is 600 to CE. Rome is weak. Its borders are cracked, its soldiers are tired, and a single act of betrayal lights the fuse for chaos. A Roman soldier named Phocas overthrows the emperor and seizes power. Persia sees this moment and strikes. Historical records confirm the Persian king, Khosrow II, immediately declares war. His message is simple: Rome must fall. Persian armies sweep across the Middle East like a storm. Cities surrender, fortresses burn. For the first time in centuries, Rome is scared. In the dust and smoke of the battlefield, a young Roman scout Marcus watches his entire unit collapse. He survives only because he hides under the bodies of fallen soldiers. When night comes, he crawls out, gasping for air. He carries a message, a coded scroll describing Persia's next attack route. But the road to his commanders is filled with Persian patrols. And Marcus knows one thing: if Persia gets this message first, Rome is finished. The desert wind howls as he runs through the darkness. Behind him, torches appear. Persian riders. The chase begins. History confirms that between 613 and 619 CE, Persia won victory after victory. Syria fell, Jerusalem fell, Egypt fell. Rome lost its richest lands, gold, soldiers, and supplies vanished. Some Roman generals believed the empire would not survive the decade. In the palace of Constantinople, Emperor Heraclius watches the map of his empire shrink day by day. He sends messages for help, but no one answers. Persia seems unstoppable. Many believe the world was witnessing the end of Rome. By 620 to CE, Rome is on the edge of collapse. Food is low, treasuries are empty. People whisper that surrender is the only option. But Heraclius makes a shocking decision. Instead of defending the capital, he leaves it. He sails out with a fresh army, heading directly toward Persian territory. Many historians still debate how he found the courage to launch such a bold counterattack. This is where history takes a dramatic turn. Have you ever wondered what happens when two superpowers, ancient titans of their time, go all in for one last, world-shaking war? This isn't just a story of battles. This is the story of the final war between Rome and Persia, a conflict so brutal it broke both empires and rendered the map of the world forever. For years, the mighty Persian Empire had been unstoppable. They had conquered the Roman East Egypt, Syria, the Holy Land. The Roman Emperor, Heraclius, was trapped in his capital, Constantinople, with his back against the wall. His treasury was empty, his people were starving, and his armies were shattered. Everyone, including his own advisors, told him to surrender. But Heraclius had a different plan, a plan so insane, so risky, it was either genius or suicide. Instead of defending his city, he took the last of his gold, melted down church treasures to pay his soldiers, and sailed away from the capital, leaving it almost defenseless. He wasn't retreating, he was attacking, but not where anyone expected. He sailed his army to the far north, to the treacherous mountains of Armenia, a region the Persians had completely ignored. They were expecting an attack from the west, not a desperate gamble from the north. Heraclius was betting everything on one single element: surprise. As winter began to bite, the Roman army marched into the highlands. This was a place no army dared to campaign in during winter. The cold was a weapon in itself, but Heraclius used it to his advantage. He knew the Persian commanders would assume he was trapped, that the snow and ice would finish him off. They were wrong. This was just the beginning of his counteroffensive. While the Persians sat comfortably in their captured cities, Heraclius was training his men, turning them into a hardened force, ready to endure the impossible. The Roman army enters Persia from the north, a direction Persia never expected. Historical sources confirm this incredible move. Heraclius used speed, surprise, and the brutal winter weather to strike like lightning. The Persian commanders began to panic. Their armies were spread out across the vast territories they had conquered. They had to rush them from distant lands to respond, but by the time they arrived, Rome had already hit them again. And again and again, in this whirlwind of chaos, every piece of information was worth its weight in gold. Imagine a scout, a man we'll call Marcus, deep in enemy territory. He carries a coded scroll, information so vital it could turn the tide of the war. After weeks of dodging enemy patrols and surviving the freezing wilderness, he finally reaches Heraclius's camp. The scroll reveals a critical weakness in Persia's vast supply lines, a vulnerability that could cripple their war machine. While Marcus is a fictional character, the strategy of cutting Persian supply routes is historically documented as a key part of Heraclius's campaign. He sees the small opening and attacks without hesitation. The war now shifts into the shadows. The mountains echo with the sudden, sharp clang of steel on steel. Roman troops, masters of the terrain, strike at night, launching devastating raids before vanishing like ghosts with the sunrise. Persian caravans, carrying food and weapons to their frontline armies, disappear in the snow. Food dumps are torched, their flames lighting up the winter sky. Communication lines are cut, leaving Persian generals isolated and blind. The unstoppable Persian war machine, the behemoth that had conquered half the known world, starts to freeze. It's starving, it's confused, and it's bleeding from 1,000 small cuts. Every week that passes, Rome grows stronger, more confident. Their victories, though small, are piling up, boosting morale. Every week, Persia grows weaker, more desperate. The world is watching in disbelief. This is a miracle unfolding, the return of an empire that everyone, absolutely everyone, had written off for dead. Heraclius, the emperor who was once on the brink of total defeat, is now dictating the pace of the war. Finally, in the year 627 CE, the two empires prepare for one last, decisive clash. The place is Nineveh, near the ruins of the ancient Assyrian city. This battle is historically confirmed and is considered the ultimate turning point of the war. The field is covered in a thick, eerie fog. A heavy silence hangs in the air, broken only by the nervous breathing of tens of thousands of soldiers. Then the ground begins to shake. The roar of thousands of charging men shatters the quiet. Heraclius isn't watching from a distant hill. He's at the very front, leading the attack himself, a spear in his hand. The fighting is brutal, a chaotic mess of steel, mud, and blood that lasts for hours. Both sides bleed, both sides break, lines collapse and reform. Men fall, and others step over them to continue the fight, but the Romans, they do not stop. Fueled by years of humiliation and a desperate desire for revenge, they push forward with relentless energy. By sunset, the Persian lines finally shatter. They retreat, leaving their honor and their empire's future on the field of battle. The impossible has happened. Rome has won. The defeat at Nineveh sends shockwaves through the Persian Empire. It collapses not from the outside, but from the inside. The great king, Khosrow II, who had once boasted he would conquer the world, is now a fugitive in his own kingdom. His nobles rebel, his generals abandon their posts. In the end, he is overthrown and executed by his own people. The greatest, longest, and most destructive war between the ancient worlds to superpowers is finally over. Rome regains its lost territories. The eagle standards fly once more over Jerusalem, Syria, and Egypt, but this victory came at a terrible cost. Both empires are utterly exhausted, financially ruined, their populations decimated, and their armies hollowed out. Historians agree, this final, epic war left both superpowers so broken, so fragile that they were completely unprepared for what was coming next. Only a few years later, a new power, rising from the deserts of Arabia, will storm onto the world stage and reshape the map forever. But that, as they say, is another story for another time. The Rome-Persia War was so much more than a fight for land or treasure. It was a saga of brilliant strategy, crippling fear, shocking betrayal, and raw survival. It was a fight that pushed both of these ancient empires to their absolute limits and beyond. A fight that almost changed the world in ways we can only imagine, and buried deep inside this epic history are the forgotten stories of the soldiers, the spies, the kings, and the desperate nations, all fighting for a future that none of them could ever fully see. This was Rome versus Persia, the final, apocalyptic war of the ancient superpowers. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by the epic conflicts that shaped our world, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next deep dive into history.